I never cared much about how I looked. Grease under my nails, cement dust on my clothes, those were the signs of a man who worked for what he had. But to my parents, I was just the dirty son who sold nails and cement. "Why can't you look presentable like your sister?" my mom used to say, waving her hand like she was allergic to my existence. It didn't matter that I owned 3 hardware stores, that I had built everything from the ground up without a single handout. My sister, Olivia, floated through life like a princess, and somehow, she was always the one who deserved more. Still, I never imagined they would rob me blind. It started with the usual small requests: money for home repairs, bills, groceries. I didn't ask questions. When they said they needed a second card linked to my business account for emergencies, I handed it over. It was just easier to help. Then came the lie. "Danny, we need a loan," my father said one night, voice heavy with fake concern. "Your mom's not doing great. There are some urgent medical expenses." I didn't even blink. The next morning, I went to the bank and co-signed a $50,000 loan. It was under my name. But the money never touched a hospital bill. A week later, Olivia posted a photo from Paris, first-class flights, 5-star hotel, champagne in hand. "Cheers to a stress-free life," the caption read. I stared at the picture, my heart pounding, my mouth dry. Then the credit card statement arrived. $115,000 spent in French luxury stores. $20,000 wired directly to my parents. And the final insult, $10,000 spent on home renovations. Not from my stores, of course. No. They made sure to buy everything from my competitors. I stared at the receipts, my hands trembling. They hadn't just stolen from me, they had planned it. Hid it. Laughed behind my back. And worst of all, they didn't think I'd do anything about it. That night, I couldn't sleep. My parents had used me. Olivia had strutted through Europe pretending she was royalty, all on my dime. I sat at my kitchen table, going over the bank statements again and again. $80,000 in debt. My stores were already stretched thin. Now I had loan payments I never agreed to. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. They thought I wouldn't fight back. They were wrong. Growing up, Olivia was always the favorite. While I was working summers at a construction yard, she was shopping at the mall. I saved for years and bought my first truck at 18. My dad laughed when I showed it to him. "Jesus, Danny," he said. "Couldn't you pick something that doesn't look like a junkyard reject?" But that old truck became the first work vehicle for my business. I called it Henderson's Supply and Build. I ran deliveries, stocked shelves, made every sale myself. 16-hour days. No loans. No shortcuts. Olivia? She tried college, dropped out. Tried working, quit. Then she decided she wanted to be an influencer. My parents bought her a top-tier camera, paid for her photography classes, even helped her rent a fancy apartment to create content. She never made a dime. Then came the networking vacation. That's what they called it when she demanded a luxurious trip through Europe. And my parents, without hesitation, stole from me to make it happen. At first, I didn't understand how they got away with it. I monitored my business expenses closely. So how did I miss it? Then I saw the details. Every purchase, cement, paint, fixtures, was for my competitors. They went out of their way to make sure none of the money showed up in my records. I called Matt, a friend who worked at Baker's Building Supplies, my biggest rival. "Hey man," I said, trying to sound casual. "Have my parents been buying a lot from you lately?" There was a pause. Then, yeah. A ton. Like $30,000 worth. House renovations, I think. I closed my eyes. My jaw tightened. They didn't just spend my money, they made sure I wouldn't even profit from it. I was done. The next morning, I drove to their house. New front door. Repaved driveway. Everything looked brand new. Inside, my mom was sipping coffee. "Brian, if you're here to complain again, save it." I slammed the bank statements on the counter. "Explain." She sighed dramatically. "Oh, Brian. You're still on about this? It's just money. You learn it back." My dad walked in, adjusting his watch. "Look, son. Family helps each other out. That's how it works." "No," I snapped. "You didn't ask for help. You lied. You stole." Right then, Olivia waltzed in, flawless as always. "Oh God, Brian," she said, rolling her eyes. "You're still whining about that loan? That loan is under my name. I'm the one paying it off. She scoffed. Relax. You run hardware stores. You'll be fine. You mean the same stores you refused to buy from so I wouldn't notice? Her face twitched, just for a second. Stop being so dramatic, she said. I laughed. Unbelievable. She swirled her iced coffee like she was filming a reality show. It's not like we wasted the money. I was networking with real money. I couldn't exactly show up in cheap clothes. My mom jumped in, tone suddenly sweet. Sweetheart, you need to understand, if Olivia marries well, we all benefit. I froze. You stole from me. So she could trap some rich guy? My dad shrugged. It's an investment in the future. I looked at all three of them, my entitled sister, my smug father, my manipulative mother. I had broken my back for them. And this was how they repaid me. No, I said, turning for the door. Not anymore. They didn't know it yet, but this was the last time they'd ever take anything from me. Because I wasn't just walking away. I was going to burn everything down. The moment I walked out of that house, something in me snapped. All those years of swallowing my pride, of nodding along to their insults, of pretending it didn't hurt, it ended right there on that newly paved driveway I had unknowingly paid for. I wasn't just going to cut them off. I was going to undo every advantage I ever gave them. First, I went to the bank. I froze all secondary cards linked to my business account. Then I filed a fraud report on the loan. It wouldn't cancel the debt, it was legally under my name, but it would at least flag the account and open a case. Second, I pulled every receipt, every invoice, every cent they'd ever touched from my business books. I created a digital folder labeled, Theft and Manipulation, Evidence. I wasn't sure yet what I was going to do with it, but having it organized gave me focus. Third, I called my lawyer. Her name was Dana, sharp as a scalpel and twice as precise. I'd helped her husband renovate their garage last year and she always said, if you ever need legal revenge, I'm your girl. I want to sue my own family, I told her flatly. She didn't even flinch. What's the value of what they took? She asked. About $115,000, give or take. She let out a low whistle. Okay. We can file for fraud, financial abuse, and identity theft, though that last one's trickier because you technically co-signed the loan. But if we can prove they lied about the reason, we have a shot. Then she paused. Brian, are you sure you want to go through with this? It's going to get ugly. I looked her in the eye through the video call. They already made it ugly. She nodded. Let's burn it down. The next day, I started pulling back everything. My father still drove the company truck I had given him as a gift last year. It was registered under Henderson's Supply and Build. I had it repossessed by 8 a.m. sharp. The look on his face when he saw the tow truck? Worth every penny. My mom had a business line phone I paid for monthly, gone. Their utilities? I'd helped co-sign those too. I had my name taken off, and without my income backing them, their credit score couldn't support the bills. Then came Olivia. She had always bragged that her influencer life was funded through hard work. What a joke. Her studio lights, tripods, cameras, even her MacBook Pro, all were charged to my business account over the past 2 years. And lucky for me, they were still technically company property. I walked right into her apartment, with Dana's legal assistant and 2 movers in tow. She was filming a skincare tutorial when we arrived. What the hell are you doing? She shrieked as they unplugged her ring light. I handed her a document. Itemized property retrieval. Everything on this list belongs to Henderson's Supply and Build. You're insane. No, I said. I'm done being your ATM. She lunged at me, grabbing my arm. You can't do this. I'm your sister. I yanked my arm away. You stopped being my sister the moment you sold me out for a vacation. One of the movers rolled out her computer chair, carrying her editing laptop. Olivia screamed like someone was cutting her limbs off. I didn't even flinch. By the end of the week, my parents' house was a shell. No internet, no heat, no car. The luxury kitchen fixtures they bragged about? I had them seized for unpaid invoices under my store's supplier credit. Dana filed the civil suit by Friday. The backlash came fast. My mom called me 27 times in a single day. My dad sent me a long text accusing me of betraying the family. Olivia posted a cryptic Instagram story, blood isn't thicker when it's poisoned by greed. I didn't respond. Then the threats came. You'll regret this, my mom hissed in a voicemail. You think you're so righteous? You'll end up alone, Brian. Just like always. I saved that voicemail too. Just in case. A few nights later, I sat alone in my living room, going over receipts again. For a moment, the silence pressed in hard. My phone was quiet. My family had been my world for so long, even if they treated me like dirt. And now they were gone. A part of me grieved. But a bigger part of me finally felt free. I walked into my kitchen, opened a cheap bottle of beer, and toasted the ceiling. To peace, I muttered. That night, I slept like a rock. But the story wasn't over yet. Because a week later, Olivia showed up at one of my stores. Unannounced. Dressed in all black like she was coming to a funeral. "You destroyed everything," she spat. "You chose this," I replied. She crossed her arms. "Mom and Dad are going to lose the house. Are you proud of that?" I leaned against the counter. "Tom. You all made a choice. You could have asked for help. But instead, you stole from me. You mocked me. You spent my money like I was some pathetic cash cow." Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't feel sympathy. "You used me, Olivia. All of you. And now you're mad the gravy train stopped." She didn't say another word. She turned on her heel and walked out. And as the automatic doors slid shut behind her, I realized something. I had spent my whole life trying to earn their love. But all they ever wanted was control. Now? They had nothing. And I, finally, had everything. A few days after Olivia stormed out of my store, I thought the worst was over. I was wrong. Because Olivia didn't just lick her wounds in silence, she declared war. It started subtly. I lost 2 long-time clients within 48 hours. Both had vague excuses, tight budget, going in a different direction. But I'd known these guys for years. Something didn't add up. Then I saw it. A viral TikTok video, posted by none other than Olivia herself. The title? "The Truth About My Brother, the Man Who Destroyed My Family." It was full of soft lighting, sad piano music, and crocodile tears. "I trusted him," she sniffled. "He said he'd always protect us. But he took everything. My parents are devastated. We're homeless now. All because he wanted revenge." I sat frozen, staring at my phone. 500,000 views in 24 hours. Thousands of comments calling me a monster, a narcissist, a misogynist. And the worst part? She never used my name, but she dropped just enough clues, my business name, the town, the year we opened, that anyone with Google could figure it out. And they did. Yelp reviews for my store plummeted overnight. I got harassing emails, 1-star ratings, and even a voicemail telling me I should burn in hell. It wasn't just slander. It was career assassination. I drove to Dana's office the next morning, shaking with rage. "She wants a war?" I snapped. "She's got one." Dana watched the video. Her face went stone cold. "This is textbook defamation," she said. "We'll draft a cease and desist. But if she doesn't take it down, we go nuclear." I nodded. "Do it." Then I pulled out the ace I'd been saving. See, Olivia wasn't just a casual influencer. She was sponsored. Makeup brands, skincare lines, travel deals, they all paid her handsomely for her posts. And guess what? Every single one of those contracts included a morality clause. If the influencer was caught lying, slandering others, or participating in public controversy, the sponsors could drop them immediately. So I made a few calls. I sent a polite, detailed email to each brand. Attached screenshots. Included receipts. I didn't ask them to fire her. I just told them the truth. The fallout was immediate. By the next day, 3 major brands publicly distanced themselves from Olivia. She posted a furious Instagram story. "Wow. Can't believe cancel culture comes for victims now. Thanks, Brian." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because what came next was the final blow. Remember that fraud case Dana filed? It triggered a deeper investigation into my parents' finances. Turns out, this wasn't the first time they'd done something shady. Years ago, they took out a second mortgage in my grandmother's name, who had been dead for 6 months. That's not just fraud. That's felony fraud. And now the authorities were involved. When the police showed up at their door, my dad tried to claim ignorance. My mom cried. Olivia posted another TikTok, "Cops came to my childhood home today. Is this justice?" But the law doesn't care about sad piano music. 2 weeks later, my parents were indicted for financial crimes. I didn't celebrate. Not exactly. But I did take a quiet walk through one of my hardware stores, ran my fingers over the shelves I had built with my own hands, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Relief. and clarity. Because through all the noise, all the manipulation, all the guilt they threw at me, I finally saw the truth. They never loved me the way I loved them. They loved what I gave them. My money. My labor. My silence. But not me. And now, without all those things, they had to face who they really were. One day, a letter showed up in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note from Olivia. I lost everything. I hope you're happy. I'm done. Don't contact me again. No apology. No accountability. Just spite. I tossed it in the trash. Weeks passed. My store recovered. Some of the clients came back. Others didn't. But I didn't care anymore. Because now, every nail, every shelf, every screw sold under my roof wasn't tainted by guilt or obligation. It was mine. All mine. And for the first time in my life, that was enough. 6 months. That's how long it had been since I cut ties with my family. No calls. No texts. No fake apologies or guilt-tripping messages. Just silence. And God, it was beautiful. My store was thriving again. New customers. Good press. I even got invited to speak at a local business seminar about resilience in crisis. I laughed when I read the invite. If only they knew. But as peaceful as things were, there was always this tiny itch in the back of my brain. A whisper saying, "They're not done." And I was right. One morning, I walked into my office and found a bouquet of white roses on my desk. No note. I stared at them like they were a bomb. My assistant walked in behind me. "Oh, I thought those were from your girlfriend or something." I didn't have a girlfriend. And only one person ever sent white roses in our family. Olivia. Sure enough, 2 hours later, I got a DM request on Instagram. "Hey. I know you hate me. But please. I need to talk to you. Just once." I ignored it. Then came the email. Then a voicemail. "Brian. I messed up. I really messed up. I lost everything. Sponsors, apartment. Even mom and dad cut me off after the charges. I'm in a shelter. Please. I'm not asking for money. Just help me get back on my feet. Please." I played it twice. Part of me wanted to delete it and move on. But the other part, the stupid part, still remembered bedtime stories and movie nights and little Olivia clutching my hand at the park. So I agreed to meet. One coffee shop. 1 hour. Neutral ground. When I walked in, I barely recognized her. Her hair was unkempt, her makeup streaky, her eyes sunken with exhaustion. She looked like a ghost of the Instagram queen she used to be. "Brian," she whispered. "Thank you for coming." I didn't sit down. "Say what you need to say." She nodded quickly, lips trembling. I deserved what happened. I lied. I crossed the line. But I swear, I wasn't trying to destroy your life. I was just scared. Angry. I thought if I could turn people against you, you'd come back. You'd fix it. I stared at her. "Fix what? The hole you and our parents blew in my bank account?" Her eyes watered. "I'm sorry." Those 2 words. Finally. But they felt empty. I was about to walk out when she said something that made me stop cold. "I'm pregnant." Silence. My heart pounded once. Then again. She sniffled. "It's not his. He left the moment I told him. I've got nothing. No job. No insurance. I'm not asking you to raise the baby. I don't want it to grow up in a shelter." She looked up at me, broken. "Can you help me find a job? Any job. Even at your store. I'll mop floors. Please." I didn't say anything. I left. And I didn't sleep that night. Because as much as I wanted to believe she was sincere, something felt off. So I asked Dana to do what she does best. Dig. And 3 days later, she came back with the truth. Olivia wasn't in a shelter. She wasn't pregnant. And she definitely wasn't abandoned. She was living with a low-tier influencer in another state, building a joint TikTok account called From Rock Bottom to Riches. The entire story, roses, shelter, pregnancy, was all part of a content arc. She recorded our conversation. I found the audio clip posted 2 days later, captioned, "My toxic brother refused to help me even when I was pregnant and homeless. Here's how I got revenge." It had over 2 million views. My fists shook. I couldn't believe it. She was still using me. Still milking the victim card for views, followers, and pity checks from strangers. So I did what I had to do. I sent one final letter. Straight to her P.O. box. No threats. No anger. Just a reminder that under state law, secretly recording someone without their consent is illegal. And distributing that recording online? That's grounds for a lawsuit. Especially when the person being recorded is a business owner who suffered damages due to false claims. Dana filed the paperwork the next morning. A full civil suit. Defamation. Invasion of privacy. Emotional distress. All of it. And this time? There would be no sponsors to save her. No followers to defend her. No parents to hide behind. Just a courtroom and a mountain of receipts. The last message I ever got from Olivia said, "You're not my brother. You're a monster." Maybe. Or maybe I just stopped being her doormat. Either way, I smiled when I read it. Because for the first time in years, I had no guilt. No pity. No loose ends. Just peace. And that was worth every second. The courtroom was silent when the verdict was read. Liable. On all counts. Olivia sat frozen, her face pale. The fake tears were gone. Her lawyer leaned in to whisper something, but she didn't move. Maybe it finally hit her. She couldn't manipulate her way out of this one. The judge ordered her to pay damages, enough to hurt, not enough to ruin. But the real punishment wasn't financial. It was public. The ruling made headlines. Influencer loses defamation case to brother she accused online. The comments were brutal. Wow, she lied about being homeless and pregnant? I used to follow her. Unfollowed immediately. Disgusting. Brian deserves justice. Hope he's okay. For once, the narrative wasn't hers to control. And me? I didn't gloat. I didn't post. I didn't even respond to interview requests. I just went back to work. I painted my office. Replaced the old couch. Got a new coffee machine, one that brewed real espresso, not the burnt gas station stuff I used to drink during long nights fixing financial damage she caused. The store felt lighter. The staff laughed more. Dana got promoted. I even started sleeping better. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for the next betrayal. I wasn't walking on eggshells with my own blood. I was free. A month later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. But the handwriting was unmistakable. My mother. I hesitated before opening it. My stomach twisted like it always did when her name entered my life. The letter was short. I heard about the lawsuit. You should be ashamed of yourself. Olivia is still your sister. Family doesn't take family to court. I hope you're proud. I laughed. Not out of amusement. Just disbelief. Even now, she blamed me. Not her daughter who fabricated abuse for likes. Not herself for enabling it. Me, for defending myself. I didn't reply. I folded the letter in half and dropped it into the shredder. That night, I poured myself a glass of bourbon, sat on the porch of the house I bought with my hard-earned money, and watched the sunset. And I thought about the word family. People say it means loyalty, sacrifice, unbreakable bonds. But I've learned something different. Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shows up when you're drowning. It's who respects your boundaries, not bulldozes them. It's who doesn't lie to you, use you, or steal from you because you're supposed to understand. And by that definition, I had no family left. But I wasn't alone. Dana came by later that evening. She brought takeout and a bottle of wine. We ate on the porch in comfortable silence. Then she said, "You know what I think?" I raised an eyebrow. "What?" "I think this whole thing was the best worst thing that ever happened to you." I laughed softly. "That's one hell of a paradox." She shrugged. "You finally cut the rope. You're not dragging their weight around anymore. You're allowed to be happy now, Brian. Without guilt." Her words settled into my chest like a warm blanket. She was right. The past was ugly. Brutal. Full of lies, betrayal, and broken promises. But it was over. And the future? It was mine again. A few months passed. Then a year. The lawsuit faded from the internet cycle. Olivia rebranded, some half-hearted wellness coach tick. It didn't last. Mom and Dad tried to reconnect. I never replied. And one quiet Saturday, I packed up the last box of old photos and mementos, drove to the lake, and burned them all. Not out of hate. But because I no longer needed to remember people who only loved me when I was useful. As the ashes floated into the wind, I whispered, "I forgive you. But I don't need you." And it felt like breathing for the first time in decades. I got in my truck, turned up the radio, and drove home. To my home. Where no one could take the lights away. Where no one stole my hard work. Where peace wasn't a privilege, but a right I fought tooth and nail for. And as I pulled into the driveway, I smiled. Because this time, the past wasn't waiting for me. Only the future.